It was a busy afternoon inside Riverdale Mall. People moved in and out of stores with shopping bags, enjoying their weekend. In the middle of the crowd stood a 16-year-old black girl named Ava. She wore a simple blue hoodie and jeans, and she had a small purse hanging on her shoulder. Ava wasn't just any teenager. She was smart, kind, and well-mannered. She had come to the mall to buy a birthday gift for her little brother. She walked into a fancy clothing store, looked around with curiosity, and gently picked up a red t-shirt. As she was looking at the price tag, something strange happened. From across the room, the store manager, Mr. Callum, watched her closely. He was a tall, white man with cold eyes and a frown on his face. He didn't greet her. He didn't ask if she needed help. Instead, he quietly picked up his phone and dialed a number. Moments later, 2 police officers entered the store. Everyone in the store turned to look. The officers walked straight toward Ava. "Put the item down and step back," one of them ordered in a loud voice. Ava looked confused. "What's wrong?" she asked politely. The officer didn't answer. The second one stepped closer and grabbed her wrist. "You've been reported for shoplifting." "What?" Ava's eyes widened. "I didn't steal anything. I was just looking." The customers began whispering. Some took out their phones. Others shook their heads and walked away. Mr. Callum stood behind the officers, arms crossed, a smug smile on his face. "She was acting suspicious," he said loudly, kept looking around like she was hiding something. Ava looked at him with disbelief. "I wasn't doing anything wrong." But the officers didn't listen. One of them began searching her small purse. "Where's the stolen item?" he asked. "There's nothing in there." Ava cried. "You can check. I haven't even left the store." The first officer spoke again. "We'll take her to the station and figure it out." Ava's heart began to race. She had never been treated like this before. Never been accused. Never been touched by police. She felt embarrassed, angry, scared. Still, she stayed calm. She looked the officer in the eye and said quietly, "You're making a big mistake." One officer rolled his eyes. They began walking her out of the store as if she were a criminal. Ava's phone fell to the ground. She bent to pick it up, her hands shaking. As she picked it up, she pressed a number and lifted the phone to her ear. "Dad," she whispered, "it's happening again." There was a short pause on the other end of the call. Ava didn't say anything else. She just nodded, even though no one could see her. She looked at the officers, her voice now stronger. "You'll want to let me go before he gets here." The 2 officers laughed. One of them said, "Oh yeah. And who's coming?" "Your lawyer." Ava smiled, just a little. Something like that. They didn't know. They had no idea. They didn't know who her father was. They didn't know what he was capable of. They didn't know that the man on the other end of the phone had stopped terrorist attacks, rescued kidnapped diplomats, and trained the country's most elite agents. They didn't know that the calm teenager they were accusing was the daughter of the most dangerous CIA operative in the United States. But they were about to find out. The officers led Ava through the mall, still holding her by the arm. People were watching now. Some whispered, some stared, some even recorded on their phones. Ava kept her head up. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just walked, calm and quiet. But inside, her heart was pounding. She kept thinking about her dad. He had warned her, "Stay alert, always stay calm. And if something ever feels wrong, call me." And she had. Outside the store, Officer Travis spoke into his radio. "We're bringing a suspect to the side exit for patrol pickup." "Suspect?" Ava muttered under her breath. "I didn't even leave the store." But no one listened. The manager, Mr. Callum, followed them outside. He looked proud, like he had done something great. "She looked shady," he told the officers again. "She was probably gonna run." Ava turned to him. "You judged me because of how I look. That's all." Callum shrugged. Whatever helps you sleep at night. The officers reached the side exit. A police car was waiting. One of them opened the back door. Get in. Ava stood still. Are you really arresting me without proof? You can argue that at the station, Officer Travis said coldly. Ava looked around. And that's when it happened. A black SUV pulled up, fast, but smooth. It didn't screech. It didn't honk. It just came to a perfect stop, like it had eyes on everything. The back door opened. A man stepped out. He wore a gray suit, black sunglasses, and walked with calm power. His name was Agent Marcus Steele, Ava's father. One officer looked at him and frowned. Sir, you can't park. Marcus pulled something from his pocket and flashed it. A black leather badge holder. CIA. Real. Official. Deadly. The officers froze. Mr. Callum blinked, confused. Who is this? Ava smiled for the first time. That's my dad. Marcus walked past the police without a word. His face was blank, but his eyes were sharp. He stopped in front of Ava and gently placed a hand on her shoulder. You okay, Davy? Ava nodded. Yeah, I'm fine. Then Marcus turned to the officers. Is there a reason my daughter is being treated like a criminal? Ooh. Officer Travis stammered. We got a report from the store manager. He said she was stealing. Did you find anything stolen? No, sir. Did she leave the store with unpaid items? No, sir. But. Marcus stepped closer, voice calm but cold. Then why is she in handcuffs? The second officer quickly removed them. It was just standard procedure, sir. No, it wasn't, Marcus replied sharply. It was judgment. It was profiling. It was wrong. Mr. Callum tried to speak. I just thought she looked. Marcus turned his icy stare toward him. You thought wrong. A tense silence filled the air. Marcus turned to Ava again. Get in the car. As she walked toward the SUV, Mr. Callum shouted, Wait. Are you threatening us? Marcus looked over his shoulder. I don't make threats, he said. I write reports. And when I do, people lose their jobs. He got into the SUV and shut the door. The engine purred. The car pulled away. The officers stood still, red-faced and silent. Mr. Callum was sweating. And Ava. She finally let out a deep breath. She had done nothing wrong. But she had almost paid the price, until her father showed up. But the story wasn't over yet. Not even close. Because Marcus Steele wasn't just a CIA agent. He was about to use every tool he had to make sure what happened to his daughter never happened to another innocent girl again. The black SUV moved through the city streets like a shadow. Inside, Ava sat next to her father, quiet but watching him closely. Marcus didn't say a word. He was calm, too calm. That was when Ava knew her dad was angry, not the loud kind of angry, the dangerous kind. He tapped on his phone, sending emails, pulling up footage, checking dates. His fingers moved fast. His eyes were sharp, focused. Ava spoke softly. Dad, you don't have to do all this. He looked at her. Yes, I do. I'm okay, she said. You shouldn't have to be okay with being treated like that. Ava looked away. She didn't want to cry again. But her dad wasn't just a father. He was a CIA intelligence officer, trained to see what others missed. He replayed the mall's security camera footage on his tablet. He had already requested access from someone high up. And there it was, clear as day. Ava looking at clothes, walking calmly, not stealing, not hiding, just shopping. And yet, the store manager had followed her, watched her, called the police without a word to her face. Marcus's jaw tightened. Ava finally asked, What are you going to do? Marcus turned to her. I'm going to expose the truth. The next morning, Marcus visited the police department. He wore no suit this time, just jeans and a jacket. He looked like an ordinary man. But when he walked into the building, officers stepped aside. He showed his badge. "I'm here to speak to Officer Travis and Officer Blake." Now, minutes later, the two officers sat across from him in a private room. They looked nervous. Marcus placed his phone on the table and pressed record. "Tell me exactly why you arrested my daughter." They fumbled over their words. Manager said, "She looked suspicious. We were just doing our job." Marcus leaned in. "So your job is to arrest teenagers without proof, without finding any stolen item, without even checking store footage first?" Silence. He paused the recording. "You two are lucky I'm giving you a chance to speak. Most people in my position would have had your badges by now." They shifted in their seats. Marcus stood up and walked to the door. "You'll hear from Internal Affairs." Meanwhile, Ava sat at home, watching the news. A clip showed protests forming outside the same mall. People were angry. Not just for her, but for every young black girl treated like she didn't belong. She held her phone in her hand. Hundreds of messages. Some were kind. Some were cruel. But one stood out. A message from a girl she didn't know. "I saw what happened to you. Same thing happened to me last year. I didn't say anything. But now I wish I had. Thank you." Ava wiped her eyes. She realized something. Her pain wasn't just hers. Later that week, Marcus and Ava walked into the mall manager's office. The same man, Mr. Callum, who had accused her. He looked up, shocked to see them. I thought this matter was over," he stuttered. Marcus sat down across from him. "Not even close. I was just doing my job." Callum tried again. "She looked." "She looked what?" Marcus interrupted. "Black. Confident. Like someone you didn't think deserved to shop here." Callum's lips trembled. "That's not what I meant." Marcus opened his folder and pulled out papers. "I filed a complaint with the Human Rights Commission. We also have statements from 5 witnesses and mall footage." Callum's face turned pale. "And the owner of this mall," Marcus continued. "He's an old friend of mine. He's not happy." Callum stood up. "Please, let's talk." Marcus stood too. He smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. "You already did enough talking. Now, you'll listen." That night, Ava stood in her room, looking out the window. She wasn't the same girl she was a few days ago. She was stronger now, more aware. And most of all, she wasn't alone. Her father had her back. And together, they had just started a movement. A movement for respect, for justice, for truth. It started with a single post, a blurry 30-second video. Ava, standing in the mall. 2 police officers surrounding her, her voice trembling. "I didn't do anything." The video didn't show everything, but it showed enough. Enough to make the world stop and stare. Within hours, it went viral. Hashtags filled the internet. Hashtag Justice for Ava. Hashtag Shopping While Black. Hashtag She Did Nothing Wrong. People across the country began to share their own stories. Mothers, fathers, teenagers, all had something to say. And Ava, she couldn't believe it. "I didn't ask for this," she whispered to her dad. Marcus looked at her and said, "Sometimes we don't choose the spotlight. It chooses us." The next morning, the media camped outside their home. Reporters shouted questions. "Do you want the officers fired? Are you suing them all? Why didn't they believe you, Ava?" Marcus kept them away. But deep down, he knew something had changed. This wasn't just about one teenager anymore. This was about justice, and Ava was becoming the face of it. Inside the police station, Chief Robley sat at his desk, sweating. The mayor had called. Twice. Internal Affairs had launched an investigation. The officers, Travis and Blake, were suspended, but people weren't satisfied. They'd wanted more. They wanted answers, and they wanted to see change. Chief Robley rubbed his forehead. He knew this wouldn't go away easily. He had protected those officers before. But now, Now the whole country was watching. He opened his drawer and pulled out a file. Marcus King, CIA background, top-level security clearance, the kind of man no one dared mess with. "This is going to blow up," he muttered. Meanwhile, Ava walked through her school. Everything felt different. People stared, but not like before. Some looked proud. Some were apologetic. One teacher pulled her aside and said softly, "You're brave, Ava. Don't let them silence you." But not everyone was kind. One girl, Brianna, rolled her eyes and said, She's just doing this for fame." Ava turned around slowly. "If standing up for myself makes me famous, then good." Brianna froze. The hallway went quiet, and Ava walked away with her head held high. At home, Marcus opened his laptop and joined a video call. Government officials, attorneys, and civil rights leaders appeared on the screen. He spoke clearly. The problem isn't just two officers. It's a mindset, a system. And unless we address it, this will happen again. They listened. Some took notes. Some nodded slowly. One woman said, "We need someone to lead the conversation. Someone like your daughter." Marcus hesitated. Ava. She was just a teenager. But maybe that's exactly why her voice mattered. Later that evening, Ava sat on the couch, scrolling through her phone. One message caught her eye. It read, "You don't know me, but my daughter went through the same thing. She gave up and never talked about it again. You gave her courage. Thank you." Ava's hands shook. Tears welled up in her eyes. She realized this wasn't just about her story. It was about every voice that had been silenced, every injustice ignored, every young black girl who had been made to feel less than. And now, the world was listening. Her father walked into the room. "You okay?" Ava nodded slowly. "I think. I'm ready." "Ready for what?" he asked. She looked at him with a quiet strength in her eyes. To speak. It was a bright Saturday morning. The city square was packed. Banners waved in the air. Signs held high. "Stand with Ava. Black girls deserve respect. No more silence." Hundreds of people had gathered. Strangers, friends, parents, children. And right at the front stood Ava, holding her father's hand. Her heart pounded in her chest. She had never spoken in front of a crowd before. But this time, she had something to say. A local reporter stepped forward. "Miss Ava, would you like to say a few words?" Marcus looked at her, gently nodded. Ava took a breath. She walked up to the small stage, took the mic, and faced the sea of faces. For a second, she froze. Then she remembered the little girl who messaged her, the teacher who thanked her, her father, who had always protected her. She looked up, and she spoke. "I didn't ask to be in the news," she said softly. "I didn't plan for any of this. I was just a girl, looking at clothes at the mall." The crowd stayed quiet, listening. But someone decided I looked guilty. Someone decided I didn't belong. And then they tried to silence me. She paused, took a breath. "But guess what? I'm not staying silent anymore." Cheers exploded through the crowd. Ava's voice grew stronger. "This isn't just about me. This is about every black teen who's been judged, mistreated, or hurt, without proof, without reason." People clapped. Some cried. Even Marcus had to wipe away a tear. Far away, in a dark office, Chief Rowley watched the live stream on his computer. He turned the volume down. His jaw clenched. "This girl's becoming a problem," he said to himself. He called someone on the phone. "You said her father's CIA. Start digging. Quietly. I want to know what else he's hiding." But what Chief Rowley didn't know was that someone was already watching him. Ava's case had reached powerful people. People who didn't tolerate corruption. People inside the government. Back at the rally, a familiar face pushed through the crowd. The store manager, the woman who had falsely accused Ava. Her face was pale, nervous. She stepped forward, holding a microphone from a local reporter. "I just want to say, I'm sorry." Boos came from the crowd. Ava turned to her, calm, unshaken. "You're sorry because the cameras are here," Ava replied softly. "Not because you believed I was human." The manager opened her mouth, but had no words. She stepped back. The truth stung more than any insult. After the rally, Ava sat quietly in the car with her dad. She stared out the window. "I didn't know I had that strength in me," she whispered. Marcus looked over. "It was always there, baby. You just needed someone to remind you." She smiled faintly. He reached into his pocket and handed her something. It was a small silver badge, a replica of his CIA badge. "For when you feel scared," he said. "So you remember who your father is, and who you are." Ava held it tightly in her hand. "I'm not scared anymore," she said. But danger wasn't over. Back at the police station, Officer Blake, the one who had handcuffed Ava, sat in silence as two government agents entered the room. One flashed a badge. The other dropped a folder on the table. "This isn't just a public case anymore," the agent said. "It's federal." Officer Blake gulped. "Tell us exactly what happened. Every detail. And don't lie. Because this time, someone's watching you too." The night was quiet, but Marcus couldn't sleep. He stood by the window, watching the stars. His daughter Eva was finally resting, her head against the pillow. But inside Marcus's mind, a storm was growing. He had just received a message from his old CIA partner. One line: "They're digging into your past, Marcus. Be ready." The next morning, Ava woke up to the smell of pancakes. She walked into the kitchen, rubbing her eyes. "Morning," she smiled. Marcus smiled back, but his eyes looked tired. Before she could sit down, there was a knock on the door. Marcus tensed up. He went to the door slowly, hand resting near his hidden holster. He opened it just a little. Two men in suits stood outside. "Special Agent Thomas," said one. "We need to speak with you." Marcus stepped outside, closing the door behind him. Ava watched from the window. She couldn't hear, but something felt off. Outside, the agents handed Marcus a file. Chief Robley requested a full background check. The taller agent said, "You have enemies, Marcus. Powerful ones." Marcus nodded, flipping through the file. Then he paused. A photo. Old, grainy. It showed him in another country, holding a weapon. A black and white photo from an old CIA mission. "If this leaks," the agent said, "they'll twist it. Say you're dangerous. That Ava's dangerous too." Marcus stayed calm, but his mind was racing. Later that day, Ava sat on the porch with her father. "You okay?" she asked. He looked at her and forced a small smile. "I've done some things, Ava," he said. "Things I can't undo." "You were protecting the country," she said. He sighed. "That doesn't stop people from using it against us." Ava placed her hand on his. "Then we fight back. Together." Meanwhile, at the police station, Officer Blake sat in front of the government agents. His hands trembled. He told the story. How the store manager called. How they rushed in. How they assumed. How he didn't even check the footage. "I didn't mean to arrest her like that," he muttered. "She just looked suspicious." The agent leaned forward. "Because she was black." Blake didn't answer, but the silence said everything. At the same time, Chief Rowley was in his office, pacing. He had just spoken with a reporter. "Dig into Marcus's past," he had said. "I want dirt. Anything that makes the public turn against him." He didn't know that his phone was tapped, that his words were being recorded by someone he never suspected, someone inside his own team. Back at home, Ava posted a video online. A calm message. No anger, no shouting, just truth. "I was arrested without proof, because of how I look. Because someone decided my skin meant I didn't belong. But I do belong, and I won't be quiet. Within hours, the video had over 1 million views. People shared it, commented. Celebrities reposted it. I see you, Ava. Keep speaking. You are not alone. That night, Marcus received another message. This time, from the director of the CIA. We're watching. You and your daughter are protected. But be careful. Chief Rowley is getting desperate. Cut to Rowley in his office, smashing his phone in anger. He just got a call from the mayor. You're being investigated. Step down or be removed. Rowley threw a chair. He turned to the wall, where a secret safe was hidden. Inside, a USB drive. If I'm going down, he growled, I'm taking them with me. Back at home, Marcus sat beside Ava. He took her hand. This isn't over yet, he said. Ava nodded. I'm not afraid anymore. They sat together in silence. But far away, someone was preparing to strike one last time. A desperate man. A dangerous man. The next morning felt different. The sun was out. The air was warm. But there was tension everywhere. Marcus, a former CIA agent and a protective father, knew something was coming. He could feel it in his bones. Ava, his daughter, sat quietly at the table, watching the news. Her video had now reached 10 million views. News anchors were calling for justice. Reporters were waiting outside the police station. Protesters held signs that read, Justice for Ava. Enough is enough. Stop profiling black youth. But Chief Rowley wasn't backing down. He was planning something big. Inside the police station, Rowley paced back and forth. His face was red with anger. His job was on the line. His name was being dragged on every news channel. This is all Marcus's fault, he growled. That man thinks he's untouchable. He opened the safe in his office, took out the USB drive. It had classified information from Marcus's past. Secret CIA files, photos, missions. If the world sees this, he smirked, he'll be the villain, not me. He called a tech guy. Leak everything, he ordered. Let's see what the internet thinks of their hero. Back at home, Marcus got another alert. A leak had gone viral. Photos of him in combat. A headline that said, ex-CIA agent or cold-blooded killer. The comments were full of hate. People who once supported him were now confused. Ava stared at the screen, her hands shaking. Dad, what is this? Marcus took a deep breath. I did missions for the country. I did things I can't talk about. But I always followed the rules. I never hurt innocent people. Ava looked at him, her eyes full of trust. I know who you are, she said, and I won't let lies win. Just then, Marcus's old CIA partner called. Get to the police station, he said. We've got something. What? Marcus asked. We tapped Rowley's phone. He admitted planting the theft story. We have the recording. Marcus stood up. It was time. Outside the police station, the crowd had grown larger. People were chanting. Cameras were everywhere. Chief Rowley stepped outside to give a statement. He smiled for the cameras. Ladies and gentlemen, today's news proves my point. Marcus is dangerous. His daughter is. Lying won't save you. The voice came from behind him. It was Marcus, dressed in black, calm, strong. He held up a small speaker. Rowley's voice played loud and clear. I don't care what it takes. I want dirt on Marcus. I want people to hate him. That girl, she's just a way to get to him. The crowd gasped. Rowley's face turned pale. Marcus took a step forward. You tried to ruin my life, my daughter's life. And for what? Pride, power. Police officers surrounded Rowley. This time, to arrest him. As Rowley was taken away in handcuffs, reporters shouted questions. But all he could do was hang his head. Inside the crowd, Ava stood next to her father. She held his hand tightly. Tears rolled down her cheeks, but this time they were tears of relief. A few days later, the mayor held a press conference. He thanked Marcus for his service, apologized to Eva publicly, and announced new policies against racial profiling in all city police departments. That evening, Marcus and Eva sat in their backyard. Stars twinkled above them. "You were amazing," Marcus said. Eva smiled. "You too. You didn't just protect me. You showed the whole world what truth looks like." Marcus looked at her proudly. "You are the bravest person I know." They sat together in silence. The weight finally lifted from their shoulders. Justice had won.